What's going on, everyone? So, the Chicago Bulls have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Miami just ran through Chicago. I mean, seriously. Chicago had like 68 points with like 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was just dominant fashion. Chicago had a couple moments where they were trying to like kind of climb back into the game, and then just Miami just kept having answers, kept going on 10-0 runs, stuff like that. Just shows two things, in my opinion. One, shows Miami's just, they're that toughness, right? They just have that heat culture. They just are that team. That's 2 years in a row now. They lose the first play-in game, bounce back, win the second one, and now they're in the playoffs as the eighth seed. And last year they went on this crazy historic run. We'll see if they're able to replicate that and do this again. We'll touch on that here more in a moment. From Chicago's standpoint, it just further validates that it's time to blow it up. It's time to change things here, right? Like they keep trying to glue themselves to look, DeMar DeRozan was spectacular this year, but he's only getting older. How you're going to re-sign him, give him a new contract for another 2-3 years? And it's like, that point he's going to be approaching 40. And it's like, at what point do you just say, okay, this isn't working? Now, I understand that, 3 years ago, Lonzo Ball with this team, they looked really good, but guess what? Things happen. It's unfortunate. Lonzo goes down. I'm hoping he comes back. But even if he does, right, that's great. Then you have him, Kobe White, right? Go trade, or you should have traded. Now you might just lose DeMar DeRozan, but can you work out a sign and trade and maybe get DeMar to a team that he wants to go to, right? Like, can you work something out to get something back for DeMar rather than him just walking in free agency, right? Go trade Vu, right? Like, at some point you need to hit the reset button, and I've had people, because I've talked about this in the last offseason, I talked about last year's trade deadline, and I talked about it this year's trade deadline. And had so many people, they can't tank. What are they doing? That's not, they basically are, right? I mean, you could literally go get a serviceable young point guard, go get a legit 2-3-and-D guys, go get a young serviceable center, and you'd probably still be the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, right? Like, it's not like you're, if they were the 6th seed or 7th seed or something like that, and they're getting, it's just hard fought, they're getting into the playoffs, but they're losing in the first round. It's like, all right, you got to kind of grind this for a year or two until you can recoup your draft picks and stuff, but you're not in that position, right? Like, it's time to change stuff. It's time to start getting younger. It's time to start looking and building for the future. You could probably get a decent package for Vu. I don't think you're going to get some huge return, but I think you could get a couple picks or something like that, and maybe a nice young player or something from a vet team that could use another center, like the Warriors, right? They could use a big center, right? They could use somebody like Vu that can make plays out of the post, right? They're going to need to start kind of retooling and revamping stuff. Can you kind of get just anything from them? Can you get like a Moses Moody from them? Right now, at least you got a young 3-and-D style guy that can play the 2, play the 3, right? At least inject some youth into you, right? I mean, you'd have to get some other stuff, but you get my point. Like, start selling guys off, right? Sell it to the highest bidder, hit the reset button. If you can't be much worse than missing the playoffs, right? Like, you keep missing the playoffs or losing in the first round, it doesn't get much worse than that. Okay, so instead of you being the 10th seed and missing the playoffs, you're the 11th seed and miss the playoffs. Okay, it's the same thing, right? Like, it doesn't matter. You still miss the playoffs. You're still not competitive. You're still not doing anything, right? So to me, instead of just kind of going through the same rigmarole, it's like, at what point do you just say, all right, it's time to go a different direction. Trade Zach LaVine to the highest bidder, right? You should have done that earlier before he went into the surgery route, right? Before he got hurt again, but you wanted to be all greedy. You wanted, who's giving up a huge return for Zach LaVine, a guy that's making $40+ million a year and has injury issues? Like, you're not going to get a Kevin Durant return for him, but you could get him off your books, right? Get him for some expiring deals or something, whatever, right? It's just, it's literally insanity. It's the definition of insanity. Do something over and over again, expecting a different result. Hey, it's just, you keep having the same result over and over and over and over and over again. Hit the reset button. Rebuild. It's that simple. But from the Miami Heat side, now, I really wanted, talked about it in several videos, I really was hoping going into these play-in for the Eastern side that, one, I wanted Milwaukee to be the 2 seed. It's the Knicks. But, one, I wanted Milwaukee to be the 2 seed and the Sixers to win the first play-in. because I think a Milwaukee Sixers first round would be great. Maybe not so much with Giannis potentially missing the first round, so we'll see. But I did think that would have been a fun matchup. I did get Sixers winning the first play-in game, and I really wanted Miami to win the second play-in game and go play Boston, right? Because I really believe Boston would be tested, and I want to see that. I want to see, like, what does Boston look like? Every time they get tested, they crumble. Every year, over and over and over and over and over again, right? So is this year the different year? Right? Because so many people are like, hey, this is a different Boston team. They have this, they're that, they're this. And it's like, we've seen stories like this. I mean, look at the Clippers. For like 10 years, they've been one of, if not the best teams in the league, dating back to Lob City. They've gone through several iterations, right, with Kawhi and Paul George. Now they got James Harden. Every year they find a way to blow it. Every year they're a second round exit. It's crazy. They've been to one conference finals in their entire history. In the last 10 years, they've been one of the top 3 teams in the East or in the West, right? It's just, to me, that's what the Celtics are, right? They're a team every year. They're in the conference finals every year, and they find a way to blow it. They find a way to lose it. And so I really wanted Miami to get in and see and push the Celtics. See, what do they look like? Is this really different? Do they just run through Miami? Right? It's like, oh, okay, here we go. Or do they kind of get even if they do get tested, what does it look like? Do they just crumble and they get eliminated? Right? Let's say they go down 2-1. Do they just fold and lose in 6 or 7? Or do they like push it and like, hey, close out strong, win in 6? Yeah, we just won 3 straight games, right? Like, hey, let's go, right? Like, I think that would tell you a lot about this Boston team. Problem is that no Jimmy Butler, I just don't see them. I don't see them really giving Boston a run for their money. I hope they do, right? Like, they still have a good squad, a good team, but playoff Jimmy is a real thing. I know Jimmy likes to say, like, no, it's not. Like, I'm always this guy. Like, no. We have enough history to know that playoff Jimmy is prime Michael Jordan, right? Like we don't need to beat around the bush here. We know that you're different. Hopefully he can push back. I know he and his like agent or whatever kind of were like, no, like I'll be back, I'll be fine. So maybe he's trying to like figure something out to play in the series. But to me, it's like, even if he does, like without if he's like 50%, what is a 50% Jimmy buckets enough to take down Boston or at least push Boston enough? I don't know, maybe, right? We'll see how good Boston is or isn't. Right? Like, so to me, it's just like, I don't know. I got what I wanted, but I didn't get what I wanted because, Jimmy, it hinders on him. Right? I think Miami can, I think without Jimmy, Miami can win a game, maybe 2. Right? Boston loves to just like shoot themselves out of games. Right? Like, I'm a Laker fan, right? Most of you know that. Like when the Lakers beat the Celtics, right? Look, that was a huge win for the Lakers, but I've even said it on the Laker channel a million times, right? Like, to me, that was more Boston's mishaps than the Lakers, right? Look, the Lakers had to do their job and win that game. That's huge. I'm glad that the Lakers did that. That was a notable win for them. No LeBron, no Anthony Davis. But Boston shot like 43 threes and shot like 30% in that game or something like that. They love to just get away from what works and just shoot themselves out of games, just kind of play a lot of isolation ball. Joe Mazzulla, I don't really fully trust. Like, there's a lot of question marks with Boston, right? So it's just like, again, I wouldn't be shocked if Miami without Jimmy Butler pushed them to 6, but to really push them, to really, like, I think a healthy Jimmy could maybe push this Boston Celtics team to like a Game 7. And anything can happen in a Game 7. Right? I think that a healthy Jimmy could push this team like to the brink of like, oh no, maybe we're not gonna, maybe we can't win, right? Like, I just think that would have went a long way. But we'll see, right? We'll see what happens with Jimmy. We'll see what happens with the Heat. We'll see what happens with all that stuff. But again, I know the reports say that he's gonna miss like 2 or 3 weeks, but I know Jimmy and his agent were like, no, not quite yet. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What were your thoughts on the Eastern Conference side of the play-in? We still got the Western side Talk about that later, obviously, when that's over. But, what are your thoughts on Miami getting in? What do you think? Your thoughts on Miami versus Boston? What are your thoughts on Chicago? Chicago, just tear it down now and get it over with. Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.